Batman number 25, written by Scott Snyder, art by Greg Capullo. This is the first part of the 0-year Dark City section, and we open in Nigeria with a bunch of soldiers in a convoy, and apparently they are just looking for something. They don't know what, but they're looking for it, and then all of a sudden they find this trap door out in the desert that they pop open, and they say, okay, everyone on your guard, we don't know what's going to be inside. We'll get payoff eventually, I guess. So we then go to Gotham. And obviously, when Secret City ended, we had the whole blackout across all of Gotham. It was a whole big thing. But now we're picking up with all of the Gotham City police are currently chasing after Batman. It's just that scene out of Batman Begins. They're all in blimps and down in the street on cars. And they think that they've got Batman trapped inside of a tunnel, because they've got men on either side. But then they see this early version of the Batmobile, and Batman's like, all right, Alfred, start up the static bond tires. And Batman presses a button, and then all of a sudden the Batmobile manages to leap up into the air and latch onto the roof of the tunnel and just fly right out over top of all the cops. And we see Commissioner Loeb. He's on all the comms, and he's basically saying, for the love of Christ, catch this guy. He's a nuisance. He's a criminal. How dare he be here? So then he calls over to Gordon, and turns out the whole reason this chase started is because they caught him at a crime scene of this guy whose bones have basically grown to the point of busting out of his body. And it's just this horribly grotesque looking crime scene. And Gordon's like, the Batman didn't cause this. He was just here. He didn't even touch anything. And Loeb's like, all right, whatever. Just find something that's going to help us bring this guy in. And Gordon's like, I'm going to focus on the fact there's a dead body. So he hangs up on Loeb. And he's working with Bullock now at this point. And basically Bullock's saying like, hey, maybe he did do it. I mean, I'm not saying that he did, but he is clearly crazy. And he was at the last crime scene of a random bone growth as well. And then Gordon points out like, yeah, except he was just there like investigating. It looks like he was doing clues. And essentially Gordon's just trying to sell him like, look, things are bad. Things are awful. There's a superstorm and everything like that. And it's a whole big things going on. Anybody who's willing to make the world better, we should at least put a little trust in. And we see there is currently a break-in at, I guess, like a convenience store or something. And a woman is about to get beaten by the muggers when all of a sudden Batman comes in, knocks out the muggers, and then provides the woman and her child with like fresh batteries and a flashlight and all this stuff for withering out the storm. And they take a marker and color in the bat symbol on the flashlight, making a makeshift bat signal. So turns out this guy who had his bones grow out was a botanist with Wayne Enterprises. And then, of course, because it's a botanist, Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy, before she became Poison Ivy, comes in. She's like, no, not my plants. And he's like, there's a dead body up there, right? And she's like, yeah, but my plants. And he's like, all right, well, take her away. And they do some questioning on her. And she's like, yeah, a guy came in here. He had a valid pass. But the only reason that I thought he was notable is that he looked like skeletal. He was very bony. And he's like, all right, well, that seems a bit suspicious, all things considered. So we cut back down to the Batcave, and Batman's basically saying, yeah, all right, so the city's been without power. The Riddler knocked it out. They're currently working to get power back on. It should be up in like a few days, maybe before this superstorm hits, but we're not sure. However, when it comes back on, Batman's willing to guess that Riddler's just going to knock it out again. It's like a game to him. So he's got this jamming device set up that he's going to install to stop whatever Riddler's plan is when the power comes back on. So at that point, they basically are just talking about the bone samples and all that sort of stuff, trying to figure out what's going on. And Bruce traces the serum inside of the guy's bones to a Wayne Enterprises doctor from back before he got back, a Dr. Carl Helfern. And as he went investigating for this guy, he's a ghost. There's nothing about him at all. So, but apparently what they did manage to find was that he got a nickname of Dr. Death because of how often his experiments resulted in death during trials. So at that point, he's like, all right, I'm going to go investigate. And Alfred's like, maybe you should call the police and tell them what you found. And he's like, no, screw the police. Why would I do that? So as he's climbing out, he's saying this to Alfred. And then sitting at the top is Jim Gordon. He's like, yo, you saying something about the police, Bruce Wayne? And he's like, hey, Gordon, what do you want? Why are you here? And he's like, oh, well, I just wanted to say hi. It's nice to have you back in town. Also, you're doing great work here. You're taking over Wayne. And he's like, actually, I don't really want to talk to you. It was just kind of pleasantries. I'm going to go. And he's like, look, I know what happened that night, in the alley. And Bruce basically says, Lieutenant, I know everything about you, including all of the things that you covered up. You are, by definition, a crooked cop, and I do not want to talk to you. And he just goes to leave. But then he's like, all right, fine. If you don't want to be friendly, I do have one question for you as a police officer. And he says, what's going on down there? You just climbed out of a cave. That's oddly suspicious. And Alfred starts trying to make excuses, saying like, oh, it's nothing. It's just that. And Bruce is like, no, let him check it. Let him see. Go on, check it out. And Gordon leans over. He peers down the hole. And as he looks down, Bruce presses the bat sonar button in his pocket, which causes a huge thing of bats to come flying out of the hole, scratching up Gordon's face. And he's like, yeah, we were just setting up generators and stuff because, we're without power and the generators attract bats. So we were down there dealing with them. That's all. And Gordon's like, all right, well, now I need to go get a rabies shot. So thanks for that. So later on that night, Bruce goes to Gotham University, and working there is Lucius Fox, who has been laid off ever since the old days. And Bruce is like, hey, yeah, no, my dad said that you were like the most intelligent man that he has ever met. And I just wanted to know some things about your time at Wayne Enterprises. And he's like, yeah, of course, anything. And he brings up Dr. Helfer, and he's like, yeah, no, there was a team of us, a bunch of scientists, Kelver, Podgy, Brooker, Deeds, and Helfern. And it turns out that Kelver and I believe Podgy were the two people who have already had the bone itis put on them. So he's like, yeah, Helfern is really not a chill dude, and his serum basically does the exact thing that's been reported on the news. Like it's causing people to grow out bones like that. But there's one thing you need to know about the serum, Bruce. And then Lucius picks up a syringe, stabs it into Bruce's neck, and says, it's just as much my project as it is his. So Bruce collapses to the ground, and we see standing behind Lucius is Dr. Death. It's Halpern saying like, yes, no one will ever find him because I'm just getting started. And then we get the wrap up on that army thing from the beginning where their entire convoy's on fire and it seems like everybody's dead from whatever they found down in that hole. I don't know what they found. I don't know if we ever get back to that, but I'm just telling you in case it's important. So I like it. I think it's heading in an interesting direction. The only problem I have with this is that Riddler knocked out the power to the whole city. And then he's not the focus. Like, we're going to this Dr. Death thing instead. That just seems weird to me. It seems oddly like a tangent off for no particular reason. But, I mean, it's the problem of I like this individual issue, but the larger implications for the story, it's weird from a story perspective that we aren't now just focusing on Riddler specifically. So, all in all, I'd say I'd probably give this one flat 7 because of that. It would probably be 7.5 or maybe even 8 if it was in more of like a direct storyline. But because it is this weird tangential piece, I don't know, I have problems with it. So yeah, I'll give this just a flat 7, but still decent story on its own.